Thank you, Eric. The great virtue of industrial archaeology is you don't have to retrofit the buildings because they've fallen down. So you're off the hook on that one. This whole conference and the idea of the Energy House comes from a very simple proposition which will be very familiar to all of you here, which I think is why this conference has generated such an extraordinary amount of activity, and we've been oversubscribed, I think, for places on this meeting by 2 or 3 times, and that is that the communities and local government reports tell us that in 2050 some 70% of this country's housing stock will still be in use, and it also tells us that about 91% of our current housing stock would benefit considerably from savings in energy. And wherever you come from, you've just got to do some numbers there, either in terms of the drive for research, the drive for new technology, or opening business opportunities and the possibilities for the low-carbon sector. So clearly this is something that is of serious interest, and the fact that you're all here, here today demonstrates the seriousness of that interest. I'm not going to say a great deal about the background because I'm going to leave that to Sue, who's coming on after me, and she will give us a much more substantial and comprehensive background. I'm also going to leave it to Sue to make all the due acknowledgements, but I do want to acknowledge one person who's here today, and that's Steve Donnelly, who committed the probably unpardonable sin of crossing the Pennines, which I understand from around here is a sort of treasonable act. But before he left us, had the inspiration for this idea, and somehow, and we're not quite sure how he did it, he got quite a lot of money out of us to initiate the idea. He did it with great charm and style, and we're not quite sure how he got away with it, but it was a great investment, as the subsequent enthusiasm for this project has shown. I've been fascinated by the Energy House as work on it's progressed. One thing that's fascinated me in particular is just how difficult and expensive it is to get somebody to build a bad 1910 house for you. It seems like quite a good idea and quite an easy idea. Just throw up a bad 1910 house and give it all the faults of a Salford terraced house that's the best part of a century old. But builders will not build a bad house for you, and you have to pay them a great deal more to do so, which is an interesting proposition, and I'm sure one could speculate a great deal more about that. But we are there, and it's great to see it at this particular stage. You'll see that we've named the house for the physicist James Prescott Joule. It's called formerly 1 Joule Terrace. It's the only one in its terrace, but it had to have a name for reality. And Joule has a particular association with this university. He was born in Salford, and he lived, in fact, so close to here that it would now be on the campus. He was both a physicist and a brewer, which says something interesting about physicists, and the combination of those two skills. And of course, lives on in the name for a standard unit of energy. And the reason why it's a particular pleasure to mention him today is because I am able to say that as of 2 hours ago, the university now owns Joule House, which stands today on the campus, but which has never been part of our university, and we've managed to acquire that property, and we're very excited about that, and we'll certainly be doing something significant in it to mark the importance publicly of this sort of work as this sort of work moves forward. So that's enough from me, and again, I just want to reiterate Eric's words of welcome. You're very welcome to this meeting. I think it's going to be a fascinating set of presentations and opportunities. And I'm also quite sure it'll be the beginning of a far more extensive network of collaboration and innovation as we move forward. So I think with that, I think I pass over to Sue.